There's a lot of ways to describe what Tony Casillas did at Oklahoma, also in the NFL, but this is the one that I love when you can say he's a part of the College Football Hall of Fame. He has his Tony Casillas podcast as well. He joins us on 365 Sports with Paul Craig, and I'm David Smoak. Tony, thanks for your time and appreciate it. Can you try to explain, and did you think that Oklahoma had made the changes enough to where they could go head-to-head with Texas? And also, even though they gave up a lot of yards, this defense is better.
Well, first of all, it's always great being on with you. To be honest with you, no. I thought that I was kind of like buying into what Texas was doing, beating and look at their schedule, playing Alabama and on the road and winning and what they've been doing. And it really – watching Oklahoma from last year and this year, there's leaps and bounds on the defensive side of the ball. They lead a lot of different categories and, in the top 5 in defense, points allowed per game. So, I really didn't know, Dave, going into this game, how they would measure up, because there's always this so-called measuring game. And I know that's real. I know that as a player and also, watching it as a fan. And so I really didn't know what to expect, but, that display of defense and the way they resilience and the negative plays and just keep coming at you and not making a lot of mistakes. I know that's a long answer, but no, not the way they did it on Saturday. I think that Brent Venables has done a tremendous job, and you can see his touch and the things that he's done. Second year in the league, especially compared to last year, which it was just a debacle for beginning of season for him. But that was pretty impressive, my friend, what they did at the Cotton Bowl last Saturday.
Is the style that he brings, it kind of seems to me kind of maybe a morphing of Bob Stoops and then a little bit of what they were getting with Lincoln Riley. Is they still run a wide open offense, but they have that early Bob Stoops defensive edge now.
Well, first of all, when you talk to defense, you never use Lincoln Riley's name in that sentence. Yeah. Let's just put that out there right now. And regardless of what, Bob, yeah, I think that when Brent was the defensive coordinator with Mike Stoops, they had tremendous players. They went out and had good defensive linemen. They had really good linebackers. And they ran that type of downhill, run blitz, pass blitz type of defense, and really just focus on the physicality of it. And really, I think for a lot of OU fans, I think it was very frustrating. And I know as a former player, that a lot of former players that played on the defensive side of the ball, there was a defensive school. To see them what they're doing now and implementing that, I will say this, that Brent is a very compassionate leader. I think the biggest question is like, how would they buy into his? He's an intense, he's a very passionate coach. But I think that these kids and with the era of transfer portal, getting the right guys, he's able to morph that into something that the players that you can see that they didn't do last year, obviously the year before. But it's concise. It's a run blitz, pass blitz type of defense. But they're so good at they're so concise with what they're doing, the discipline. I think that's the thing that really sticks out to me is how disciplined they are and how they tackle and the physicality and everything. And it really shows what he did when he was at Clemson, when they were balling and having great defenses and finding great linebackers and really just hitting gaps and really just doing your responsibility, because sometimes with something like that, you try to make too many big plays and really just opponents counter against that. But I think that the culmination of just what his style and as a player, I'll tell you this right now, as a defensive player, I really couldn't say that in the last 10 years. You guys alluded to it. You come to Oklahoma, you're going to have fun playing on the defense. I mean, it's everything that a defensive player wants to play. You have a chance to make a lot of big plays, and really that's what you thrive on as a defensive player. So I am just it's amazing what they've done in 2 years.
I saw a couple of people string together a video comparing the goal line stand to the goal line stand against Texas in 1984. Do you see the comparisons?
I thought about that. It was interesting that you bring that up because, I thought about that, and it's been so long ago. It was barely color. I had color film back then, but regardless, yeah, it really showcases because you know what the mentality is in a game like that. Certainly ours was it was a closer game. Texas, both of us were ranked in the top 4, but it was very symbolic. And we had to just find a way to keep them out of the end zone. And I think people think, oh, it's a lot harder than done. And really, that's the hardest thing to be able to do is to keep. You got the offense has got the ball like in the yard or the half-yard line, and we're supposed to keep them out of the end zone. So there's this will. But what they did against Texas to validate, because I think sometimes a team, you know how it is. People are like waiting to show me something. But I think that particular moment, that stand, when they were able to validate themselves and really to say, you know what, it doesn't matter where we're at on the field. We can be on the 50, we can be on the 20 in the red zone, we can be on the half-yard line. We're going to knock your ass back and we're going to deny you. Now, whether you can do that or not, that's what you believe in. But the more and more you keep just knocking them off the ball and you surge, and really what it meant in that game. There's so many big plays in that game, but defensively, that game, that particular play right there, and a lot of other plays in that game were the big difference in who could win and lose. And certainly, what they're able to do is there's a lot of parallels to what we did in '84 and what they did in 2023. And I will say this, we won the Big 8 championship and had a chance to play for the national championship. And I really don't think a lot of people can say this, that, this team goes through takes care of business. Hopefully, looks like maybe they'll play Texas in the Big 12. They'll have a shot at it. They'll have a shot of being able to play for, getting the college football playoffs at least. But, could anyone have said this about this team going into the season based on last year? You'd be lying to yourself and lying to everyone if you said yes.
Tony, can you try to describe, and the game's over, but the emotions of the week of Texas, the game itself compared to anything else, and you played in some other huge games, but also how do you battle the week after? If you didn't get an off week, how did you battle the following week if you won the loss or lost the game?
Well, I will. The advice I give the kids is that I know that after a bye week, is that just to take care of yourself, have fun. We don't want to hear you in the news. Make smart decisions, rest your body up, and then get ready to play University of Central Florida. And I think it's a lot to do with the coach. I think that the coach is very symbolic in this, and he kind of understands and really has to say the right things. But you can't be with 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds all the time. But I think that there's a lot to be said to that. But guess what? If you're good, you're good. If you have the leadership and the background, the backbone on that team to be able to put things together, you won't have any problems with it. It's just that some of the things that you get distracted with, maybe you just start feeling really good about yourself. All of a sudden, people are reaching out to you, all that goes along. But, I think that it has a lot to do with the coach and try to keep the real at in. But to the point about what you just said about this game and how it's magnified and the emotion, I was fortunate to play in 2 Super Bowls, and I in an international championship during my career. I was very fortunate to be able to do that. But I will tell anyone that plays college football, for all those kids, that are looking to go to a college, regardless of NIL, whatever it is, you will not play in a game, in a regular season game like the OU Texas game. There is no way that you can experience that energy, that craziness, that outcome in that game. And, oh, by the way, they ended up throwing the touchdown pass to Nick Anderson. That was in the OU section, so it exploded. You will never experience that in a game other than OU Texas game. And I'm not biased. I just know a lot of people that have been there that haven't played for it, just have been to the game, like Tony. This is like taking a drug, a shot of adrenaline, and it's like it's crazy. But yeah, it's an out of body experience. There's nothing like it, and you feel it. You can feel it. You guys could feel it when you're watching. You could feel the energy through the TV, and you don't get that anywhere. Just how loud it is and how unique it is, the setting and everything, and to be able to kick their ass and on the last play of the game. And have you ever seen a game where a team gets the ball with 1 minute and 13 seconds left and just you're thinking about kicking a field goal to take it into overtime, but to be able to take the ball down the field and score a touchdown like that and win the game, I mean, that doesn't happen.
No, and Tony, that's what that offense was built for, though, was to go that fast, and it was kind of the perfect scenario for them and the worst one for Texas that kind of exact amount of time was. I do like that you mentioned the fact that if one team scores in the other team's end and you score on your end, it just explodes. But I do like the watching, and the other one is, Oklahoma scored a touchdown on Texas's end earlier in the game, and all the cheers are coming from the back. And the other, you're just kind of like the fans on the Texas side are just, sitting on their hands and angry.
Quiet.
It's so strange.
There's no noise whatsoever. And then all of a sudden you hear it's like, the old school where they used to do the wave, where the wave was coming, and the wave was in the very back until it got to that particular part of the stadium where the fans are, and and to be able to score on the other end and just kind of just quiet them, where there's not any emotion whatsoever until you go about 50 yards from where you scored, and it's chaos. And I think that's the uniqueness of that game. And I think a lot of people talk about, let's move it over to Jerry's World and move it to AT&T. And I thought about how that unique that would be to have more people, but you just don't get the experience of the fair, just the atmosphere, just the backdrop and everything. It's crazy. And again, to be able to finish the game off in your end zone on your side of the 50 where all your crazy fans are, and to give them that gift, I mean, that's crazy.
Tony, is there a particular Texas buddy or former player that is the guy that as soon as when you get into the trash talking with your buds, that's the guy that you're looking forward to talking to from the other side the most?
Jermichael Finley, I had a bet with him a couple of years ago, and I think that it wasn't last year's show because we got our butts kicked, but the year before. And he was supposed to wear my jersey, and I don't think he's done that yet. But all I need to do is just go out and just tag someone or just say something.
Right.
And, I think that's, I play golf with, doing OU Texas, golf matchup, and we just talk about the game. But the best part of it is sharing the moments with your former teammates and the fans, and just talking about it and reminiscent, and just people looking forward to going to the Cotton Bowl. That's the greatness of that game, and just being able to share the stories and be able to experience that. And my son went to OU, and my other son went to UT. And they're today. I got him tickets in the OU section, and my son was with his wife, and they're from UT, and my son's with OU, and his buddies sitting next to him, and just that whole banner with them. That's what it's all about. It's a great week to get a bye for just friendly hatred, I would say. It's just smack talking. Let's have fun. No harm, no foul. Let's just enjoy it, and that's the whole part of the game, man. It represents so much and for generations. And I met a guy that hadn't missed a OU Texas game in 55 years, and so that's just the uniqueness of it. It's got so many tentacles, and people have so many memories of it. And, that game right there, guys, I mean, think about it. Instant classic. I mean, I go backward. You can talk about the games, but that game right there had everything. Everything a fan, whether it's a cardiac arrest, whatever happens. I mean, it had everything in that game that you got your money's worth. and then some.
All right, Tony, 41-10, 49ers bury the Cowboys, and it never really was close. And then I saw a tweet you put up with Micah Parsons, who's an incredible player, but did not get involved much because of their scheme at San Francisco, and Christian McCaffrey trading jerseys. Go.
Man, I don't know. I think that you guys know I come from, I played in a different generation, and look, I talk to guys after the game, and I don't know. There's certain opponents that I really despise. I think we despise. And first and foremost, I mean, if Jimmy Johnson ever saw that happen, you wouldn't get on the plane. You would walk home. That wouldn't happen. But it's 2023. It's the modern athlete. But I just don't think whenever you play a team like the 49ers and all this hype and how good you are, and you got everyone back, and you're the best defensive player in the league, and the 49ers said, no, I don't think so. We're just gonna give you a good old fashioned butt kicking, and proceed to beat you 42-10. And I just don't know. I think that a lot of those things that I see happen, and look, maybe I'm being old school, but I think, on Twitter, I was surprised that people responded to and were agreed with what I was saying. But I don't think people like to. I don't like to see that, because the worst thing that I want to see is a guy, after we just got our asses kicked 42-10, and go up to him and say, "Hey, bro, hey, man, if I'm Christian McCaffrey, I had no problem with it, because I just, we just beat you 42-10." But I just don't think that moment, the move would be to okay, yeah, let's do a picture, and we'll do social media and everything, and we'll just, we'll swap jerseys and act like that it was great. It was great for the last 3 hours. I enjoyed it. I want your jersey. Okay, I'll do that. But I just feel like maybe sometimes you just go to the locker or say, hey, dude, I'll see you. You know what? I'll hit you up, man. Send me one of your jerseys in the off season, and we'll exchange in. But I'm not in the mood right now, because that was just a total domination by the 49ers. They clearly said a statement that they're probably the best team in the National Football League, probably the best quarterback in the National Football League, the guy that got drafted, the last player in the draft, Mr. Brock Purdy. I mean, I just don't – can you guys just figure that out, how great this guy has transitioned to the NFL and looks, just carves the defense up? And this was a good defense. Going to this game, there's a lot of hype, but what he was able to do, and they had Trayvon Diggs out, but what he is able to do as a player, it's one of the most remarkable stories in professional in the NFL that's happened in a long time. It's just crazy.
Yeah, Tony, do you think part of it is that he started for 4 years? He's played a lot of football before he got in the NFL, and a lot of the guys, I'll just use Anthony Richardson as an example. He only started for a full season at Florida, like a season and a half, and Brock Purdy had 4 years. So while maybe he doesn't have the crazy measurables that a guy like Anthony Richardson does, experience-wise, he's been in the trenches a little bit more.
That's a great point, because I think an OU fan is watching him play. He was an Oklahoma killer, and he was a Texas killer. He was a great player in college at Iowa State. And to your point, he was a guy that I think that probably played with a chip on his shoulder. I think that he actually got a scholarship, I think, somewhere in Alabama. I think I read, or my son was telling me that he got sick, and so they rescinded the scholarship to go to Alabama. So this kid, man, he gets it. I think that he's he understands the form, the schemes of the defense and his anticipation. And to your point, his knowledge and understanding and just his work ethic. But just to be the last player drafted in the NFL draft, and they draft Trey Lance, and this was a gift from the football god, Brock Purdy. Are you kidding me? But you're right. I mean, he's had a lot of experience in college football, and I think there's a lot of credence that goes along with that for preparation and getting in the NFL. And all these kids and all these guys have the arms to do it, but do they have the aptitude? Do they have the awareness? Can they understand and can they process the information in 2.5 seconds? I mean, this guy looks like he slows everything down. I don't know about you, but it seems like every time he throws a football, someone's going to be open and he's going to throw a dime. I mean, that's what I saw against the Cowboys. I mean, it was just amazing.
Tony, a couple of questions from those who watch us that are in the chat room, and I know you got to go, and we appreciate your time.
Oh, man, this is great, man. I'm good.
Your thoughts about, based on Oklahoma, they have some warts, although they also are so much better. Do you think right now they're playoff caliber? And number two, can you try to explain the calmness and what Dylan Gabriel has brought to this team this year?
Well, I think Oklahoma, they're playing with a huge amount of momentum and trust and confidence, and I think that's what kind of the doctor ordered, because I think that the defensive philosophy and the defensive side of the ball was looking for a beacon to save that that part of the phase of the game, and I say that very authentically, because I think that's kind of what people have talked about. Lincoln Riley obviously couldn't spell defense, and I just I'm not to take a shot at him, but it still does the same thing in USA. They don't know how that wasn't their focal point, and I think that's what Oklahoma has found, and so I think that's really something that Venables, and I think that he wanted to really that was going to be an emphasis when he was a coach. You know what? We know we're going to score points. We're going to have athletes, we're going to have a quarterback. What are we going to do on the other side of the ball? Because we got to stop that people. And so I think they've gotten that. Now, where they take that from this point forward, it's all on them. I mean, should they run the table? Yeah, I think so. But there's going to be some teams that are some barriers there. And you can't let, good teams don't let, those type of barriers get in their way, and they just go on and they take care of business. Now, Dylan Gabriel, I didn't even talk about him, but that guy, he was amazing in the Texas game. I always say this, and I think that it goes, really good and great players play in a game like that, playing big moments. And, to that point, I'm thinking, he's not the tallest guy. He doesn't throw a lot in the middle of the field. He throws out on the perimeter, but what he was able to do is just kind of slow things down. And some of the plays he improvised, and I don't know how many times he scrambled on 3rd and long, and in that last play where he kind of ducked and then he dodged and then he bobbed back up and he found his receiver. I mean, there's a lot of confidence in that kid, and I know they lost Antrell Anthony, and I think that he's out for the season, but still they have Farouk and they have Nick Anderson. But I think the guy is just, I think he's gotten a point where he's got the confidence, and really I think he used his legs, because really I don't think anyone really saw that. And I'm like, well, look at this guy. This guy can make plays with his legs, and he did that against Texas in a huge game. So I think he gives you a dual threat now, and I think a lot of teams that watch film, especially that game, are going to say, look, all of a sudden we got to keep some guys around the line of scrimmage, maybe a spy guy or someone around to not let him kill us. And, especially when you have a 4-man front that's playing man-to-man like that, or zone, or whatever they're playing, he's going to hurt you. But, to answer your question, I think this team has a chance to go far. I mean, I don't know. I think they can play and win the Big 12 based on their schedule. BYU, that's kind of a unique game, and there's a couple of games in there that, Baylor. I mean, I don't know, but realistically, if you ask me now after watching that game, like everyone else, I mean, I think that maybe they'll have a rematch in Texas, and that'll be the game that determines. I don't know what a one-loss team that goes in the college football playoffs, maybe. But certainly, if Oklahoma runs the table, hell yeah, they'll be playing in the college football playoff because they deserve it.
Tony,
or will deserve it.
Last question. They don't have to play Baylor. They probably wish they did right now.
Okay, that's right. I forgot. Yeah, the realignment. Yeah.
You played with Deion. I think after the year after the Cowboys won the Super Bowl, he was still with the team when you went back to Dallas. I don't know about the time in Atlanta. Did you ever expect him to be at least what he's done so far for Colorado and be that successful that quickly?
You know, I don't. It's such a surprise, and it's so great to see the evolution of Coach Prime because he's totally different than he was a player. I mean, he was prime time. I mean, I played with him in Atlanta the first time I played when I was there, and I was there that week. He played in the World Series with the Yankees, went 3 for 5, had a home run, got on an airplane, came back 2 days later and tucked the opening kickoff for a touchdown. I mean, who in the hell does that? Just a tremendous, just crazy athlete. But you know, I think it's a lot of these coaches really inferior to and don't know how to act or respond to someone like Deion, Coach Prime, because he does have this larger than life persona. He does utilize his tools that allows now the modern day player where NIL and transfer portal. Everyone laughed at him when he said, and they thought, even Coach Venables took a shot at him. He said, I don't sit around and hand out pink slips. Well, I think everyone is entitled to their opinion, but it's like, Coach Prime says, just sit back and watch. And so I think that it's different to see him as a player and now as a coach and as a different person and a different part of his life, really caring about these kids and really kind of trying to help them in a long time with the brain, everything comes along with that, and really just kind of humbling and say, look, you're going to have the opportunity to come to a place like Colorado and be around this. But the most important thing is I care about you as a young man. And to be able to get those two components and be able to send that message and the authenticity, it's not a bunch of highs. It's really him, his sincere words and the authenticity and how authentic he is. And I just sometimes I think other coaches, they haven't seen that on the other side of the sidelines of this tremendous player that's had this great career now is having success and there's going to be a lot more to this in his career, but to see the kind of the circus and that comes along with it, but in a healthy way. It's a healthy way, and I think that that's what he really emphasizes to these young men in the locker room, on the field, and really the responsibility of the things that they need to be accountable for. And I think that that's the best thing you can get, and with him, you're going to get it. And I'm just so happy for him, and I wish him nothing but luck because he's going to have a lot of success.
Tony, thanks for the time and the knowledge, the insight, experience, and opinion. We appreciate you very much. Thanks for being a part of the show.
Anytime, guys.
Great
Appreciate
stuff.
it. Thanks for having me.
Tony Casillas, a college football Hall of Famer, part of the championships, couple Super Bowls, as he mentioned, with the Cowboys, and insight on every direction we could possibly go with him.
That was really good.